All right. In theory, we are live across America on YouTube. This will be a little quickie update from the Triangle Talk Show. We'll call it episode 121. And Sean Green is back with me. Sean, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Almost didn't expect to come back quite this quick, but there's been some updated news on the Alamance County March. You were here on Sunday with Scott Hoffman talking about what happened on Saturday in Alamance County. You guys were marching to the polls. You stopped at the courthouse. You did an 8-minute homage to George Floyd, 8 minutes and 40 seconds. And
46.
8 minutes and 46 seconds. I'll get the time totally right. And at the end of that, the sheriff decided they'd had enough, and they started chasing you out with tear gas.
Pepper spray.
Pepper spray. Okay, pepper spray. And that ended the event. You were going to have speakers. You were going to have a rally, and people were going to march to the election site, and that all fell apart because y'all got chased out by the sheriff. We got those details all right?
We did continue to have some speakers. Like, there were 2 incidents where we were pepper sprayed, and we pressed on, and then 30 minutes later, that's when they shut us down for good. I was able to speak. A few of my colleagues were able to speak, but George Floyd's niece was not able to speak. Ben Crump was not able to speak because they had to be rushed to safety.
Oh, I guess I didn't get that from the stories. And I guess before I say any more, there's going to be another rally, another march tomorrow, Tuesday, and that's the point of us talking here today, is to get people ready for that. But I didn't realize that that there was an interruption in between when they chased you off the street and you started to speak. So in between, a few people got to speak, and then that second incident, that was the generator thing where they were complaining about a gas can on a generator.
Yes.
Okay, so there were 2 separate incidents separated by, sounds like, about a half hour.
Yes.
Interesting. That makes it sound even more like their goal was to just disrupt a protest, not public safety.
Continue to find any quote unquote reason or excuse to do so. So, I mean, if it wasn't you're in the streets when we were permitted to be in the streets, but now get out the streets, or now as you have a gas generator, and it was just going to continue to be something. It was a plan.
Okay. This has been organized by Reverend Greg Drumright.
Yes.
And I assume that you know him?
Yes. Great activist, and just a great human being in general.
And you guys have been making some plans for tomorrow.
These plans are still in formation at the moment, but yes, there are plans being made as of now.
Okay, so as we're recording right now, it's a little before noon on Monday, so things will be in flux, things will change. But what can you tell me about what's going to happen as of now?
We look to recreate the march that we were really supposed to be able to have in full, and relive out that vision and give our people hope that we're not going to allow this to intimidate us or to shut us up or to keep us, in our little pockets. We're going to come back out. We're going to do this again, and we don't know what to expect, but we are making sure that our people, whether you're voting Democrat or Republican, whoever wants to join, we're making sure that our people get safely to the polls and exercise their right to vote. So we'll be starting again at Wayman's Chapel AME from my current understanding. I don't believe that is subject to change. We'll be starting at 9 a.m. And those are the 2 major details that we really have right now. The third being that we intend to make it to the polls this time. So
this will be a march directly to the polls from the church, as far as you know so far.
No comment on that, but okay. There will be a march. I just say intend to actually make it to the polls this time.
Okay.
But we're still working out those details.
So these plans are still, pretty much being developed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if this thing is gathering permits and permissions, or are you just going to go do it?
There's no comment on that either.
Okay. Because it's pretty short. And, part of the permitting process is for public safety. Part of the permitting process is to just not let these things happen in places like Graham and Alamance County. So if you were to go seek a permit today, I'm guessing you wouldn't get one.
Well, I have no comment on that. All I know is that at 9:00 a.m. at Wayman's Chapel, AME in Graham, North Carolina, we will be marching.
Okay. Who do you want to come?
Everybody, whether you've already voted, whether you, especially if you haven't voted, but even if you had, we desire the collective power. We desire the numbers. We are cultivating and building collective power. So just a show of unity and revolutionary love in people of all races, all ages, all sizes, all genders, all gender identities, binary, non-binary. We are a non-binary movement coming together in even bigger numbers to make sure that that people that usually don't feel safe getting to the polls and exercising their right to vote do this time. And like I said, it doesn't matter the party affiliation. Like, we invite even Republicans to come out as long as they desire to be peaceful and their desire is to go vote safely, and that is all they want. Then we don't have a problem marching with them, but we do emphasize, as was said in our press conference yesterday, Black lives matter, but not only that, Black votes matter. All votes may matter to some degree, but I mean, that's a given. Like, we've lived in a country where Black votes were not a thing at one time. They didn't exist, and then when they began to exist, we were only 3/5 of a man, so they still didn't exist, of a human being rather, a man or a woman.
Yeah,
they still exist. So our Black votes matter.
Yeah.
So we want our Black people who have been intimidated in this community by this community's history and current state. We do want them to come out, but we encourage everyone to come out and help us out. If you've already voted, then help other people feel protected with your number being there.
Yeah. As an old white guy, I think I got a good handle on the idea of Black Lives Matter. And when people counter and say, well, all lives matter, and you will say, well, of course all lives matter, but all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. And they're the ones that have been in jeopardy for
they
hundreds of years.
To the powers that be in this country. And I mean, all Black Lives Matter is saying is that we matter too. Okay. And we're being treated like third-class citizens, but we matter too. And our Black vote matters just the same.
All right. So for tomorrow, what it looks like to me is you all saying, we're not going to take this. You guys shut us down. We're coming back.
Essentially, yes. I won't comment much on it, but essentially we're doing this again. But the message is not even majorly about we're not going to take this in regards to how Graham is handling things. We're not going to take this in regards to the people in the community that need to see a show of strength and need to see hope and feel hope and need to feel like things are really changing, not only here, but in communities like this across the nation. So like, it is more about our people, and, seeing that show of unity and that people of all races, gender, side, everything are coming out here to make sure that they feel safe exercising their right to vote in this country. So we're saying we're not going to take this to our own people so that they won't take it either. Okay, I understand. Putting it in that point of view, and I appreciate that. It's going to be chilly tomorrow. Take a look at the weather forecast. We'll do traffic and weather together here on the Triangle Talk Show. 41 degrees at 8 a.m. You guys are going to plan on starting at 9. It'll be getting a little warmer, but it's still going to be in the mid 40s sometime. A beautiful day, sunny, and everything's going to look really nice, but people should be prepared for it to be cold, which we haven't really had very much of so far this fall. So you're gonna dress up. Oh yeah, no. Look, we will brave the cold, we will brave the pandemic, and we will brave every vicissitude and obstacle in our way.
Yeah. Well, 41 degrees is not frigid cold. It's just you want to make sure you got a jacket with you.
I'm anemic, so everything is frigid cold.
Okay.
So I'll be out there shivering, but I'll be out there. Like, I'll get frostbite before I stop.
Yeah. And we're down here in the South, so yeah, our blood is thinned out. Yeah, I'm native from Chicago, but I've been here 30 years, so I'm thinned out.
A little different than what it means to you guys. Yeah.
So that's what's going on tomorrow. And is there any specific place people can go to be updated as things go along? Is there a Twitter feed, a Facebook page?
Yes. So, I mean, there will be multiple pages, but I'll say the major two is Justice for the Next Generation, otherwise known as J4NTG. I mean, TNG. I'm sorry, J4TNG. And if you look on Pastor Gregory Drumwright's page, you will be able to see every update as well, and where you can find updates if they aren't on that page. You will also be able to see on the People for Change page, which is the organization that I'm a part of. You will be, Justice for the Next Generation. And like I said, the other source would be Gregory Drumwright's Facebook page, and that may be where you find the information more quickly, along with the People for Change page. Okay,
I'll look for that and get a link to it, but people should be able to find that pretty easily.
Yeah,
Gregory Drumwright, Reverend Gregory Drumwright on Facebook. So look for updates there. So if you're planning on coming out, probably want to get a little bit more information than what we're able to put out here at just about noon.
Yes.
So people be ready. And I wish I could be there. I have a dental appointment, and it's been hard to get, and the tooth hurts. So the truth hurts, and the tooth hurts.
And the cold won't.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, I would be there, and I really wish I could be. This appointment has been hard to get for a while.
Right.
But I would like to be out there and support you guys and see what's going on. I don't get to a lot of rallies, but I get to a few. Most people are not activists. Most people look at these rallies, if they see them at all, they see them on TV, and they don't go in person. You might get some folks who are coming out for the first time, and we've had a lot of that with George Floyd this year. People coming out to rallies for the first time. If you were to talk to a first-time rally goer for an event like this or this specific event, what would you tell them to expect? What would you tell them to be looking for and to want to do for themselves?
I will tell them the first and foremost, expect to be swept away by the unity and camaraderie that you feel. There's something about being there in person and just feeling all of this love between people from every walk of life. I would tell them to expect to be selfless. Expect to say, I'm putting myself out there, and we don't know what's going to happen here, but me knowing what's going to happen or being able to control it is not as important as what marginalized people and communities in this nation go through. So, be prepared for anything. I always say, if you want peace, prepare for war, pursue peace, prepare for war. And just know that anytime you're marching with us or many organizations across the nation, I mean, you will be protected to the best of our abilities. If you research the organizations that organize these marches and these rallies, there's so many things where you can see how they've and how we've protected our people. And by our people, I don't just mean Black people. When I say our people,
everybody
I mean all together. So we protect our people.
Yeah.
So but just be expecting anything. Don't be shocked by anything. Be vigilant. Keep a great look at your surroundings. Don't allow yourself to get separated from the crowd. Don't go anywhere alone. You want to make sure that you're traveling in groups of at least 3 or 4, at the very minimum, more if you can. And when walking in a march, do not be straggling behind. Please stay compact. Stay around people. Be surrounded.
is there a difference between being right at the front of the march, being in the middle of the pack, being toward the back? People have seen the video of them spraying their pepper spray. And it typically affects people right in the front.
Mm-hmm. So the middle is the safest area. The people that march on the front, like myself, we're usually the first line of defense. As you said, we're usually the ones that get hit with anything thrown at us first. And we're here for that. We're throwing our lives on the line. The people in the back, unless we have security at the back, which I won't comment on if there will be or not, before you ask. But unless there's security at the back, like the people at the back are more susceptible to being arrested and being abducted, even because they're straggling and
they're more vulnerable.
And doing anything wrong, but at the back, when you get a little separated, that's where you see a lot of arrests happen or people being dragged away, and that's one of the weaker points. So that that the middle, if you can stay in the middle of everybody and be surrounded, that is going to be your best place. Yeah.
If you're experienced at doing this, you know what to do already, and then you may be one of the people at the front or the back or a marshal or doing taking a role. If you're just coming out and saying, I can't take it anymore, I have to support this movement, stick to the middle.
Please, please, we implore you.
There's been a phrase that has floated through my mind here. I'm gonna spring on you here. That you've heard the phrase "fog of war." I want to try a new phrase that I think we've seen some happening here: the fog of peace. Because you're not going out there for violence. If you want, you can comment on the violence that we've seen. You typically later in the evenings at night, people breaking windows and vandalizing. It's happened all over the country. When something like that happens, that's all Fox News sees. The mainstream media sort of plays a 50-50. They show the peaceful march. They show the violence that happens afterwards as if it was equal, and it's nowhere near equal. Yeah. But what would you say about, first of all, your intentions in terms of being peaceful, and what would you say about people who come with an intent to be disruptive?
So it's just like I said yesterday. It was not a matter of when were things not peaceful. It's a matter of who wasn't peaceful. And we were peaceful 100% the entire time. I think what happens is, in America, in this nation, we have been told by white people what peaceful is. We have been told by white people what professional is. We have been told by white people what aggressive is. We have been told by white people what articulate is. And we generally identify those terms and how they've been defined to us as objective. We are peaceful. We just don't look like what you told us we should look like. I mean, like, even in society, my hair, my crown, the way that I dress, the way that sometimes I talk, it's not necessarily considered professional, but this is how I'm going to go into interviews. This is how I'm going to live the rest of my life, because I'm not going to allow someone to take a subjective term and make it objective. So you're like, the definition of peaceful, it's not going to look the way, especially when it's revolutionary peace. Revolutionary peace does not look the same as what you consider utopia. And utopia is not peace. Utopia is an illusion of peace. So when you have people who have only lived in an illusion of peace because they have not experienced the same thing that marginalized Black Americans have in this country, and they want to tell us what peaceful is, we don't listen to those definitions. You can't tell us what peaceful is, because I'm sorry, Karen, you don't know what peace is. You know what an illusion of peace is. Well,
and violence has been committed against you for hundreds of years. But can you be a little more specific about what someone,
I can. Okay. I can. So, as a Black Panther, I was doing protection at a polling site. I was not armed. I was not dangerous. I was in uniform, however. And I also, just as a fashion statement, something that I like, I had on what looks like a bird's beak, but it's called a plague doctor mask, and it's very popular in steampunk culture. And I had that on, and I had a conversation with someone that was like, I support you guys, but this is kind of hard to support because it's intimidating and you want to keep the peace. You don't want to intimidate people. And, I'm just like, so my style of dress and let's take into account the irony here. Steampunk is a culture that is widely celebrated by mostly white people. A lot of black people, like, we don't know what steampunk is. I'm the weirdo that likes steampunk culture. But if a white person walks around with that same mask on, it's not called intimidating. It's called cosplay. But if a black person walks around with it whenever he feels like it or whenever she feels like it, it is all of a sudden considered intimidating. The color of my skin intimidates you, ma'am. And I thank you for your, I just told her, and very respectfully so, like, I love her. I thank you for your support. However, there's no way for you to tell me that the way that I dress, and because I have a tactical vest on and all black on and a beret on and a plague doctor mask, like, you're not going to define intimidating for me, because the same black man that was doing this and that was wearing these clothes, there are photos of me hula hooping. Like, beware of the black man hula hooping.
Yeah.
Like, we were handing out.
Are you good at hula hoop, by the way?
No, that is not a profession of mine. I'm having fun. But no,
I was good at it when I was a kid, and then I tried it again as an adult, and it went right to the floor.
I'm good at it now. Like, it's crazy. I'm still good at it. I look weird doing it, but I'm good at it. But no, so, I mean, I'm the same person who people wanted to take pictures with, like, because it was like, wow, Black Panthers are in this area. Same person handing out snacks and candy. The same person that some children were like, oh, I like your beak, because they're not going to call it a plague doctor mask. So, I like your beak. That's cool. And we're handing out water, and to people voting, Democrat and Republican. It does not matter. We were making sure that everyone was safe, but I was being told that I should look more peaceful. How do I look more peaceful? Like, change my skin color? Do I need to bleach? Do I need to be white to look more peaceful to you? Like, no, I cannot go by that definition. Myself and my uniform and my tactical gear was peaceful. It does not placate the fragile white ego. Yeah. And we're not here to placate. Yes.
You can get yourself a plague doctor mask on Amazon for $20. Prime. Yes. 1 day shipping. It won't come soon enough for tomorrow morning, but for your next protest.
My eyes were not covered, so, like, I love those masks as well. They had ones where it's just the actual bottom part of the mask, so that's even less quote unquote intimidating, and that was $20 as well. But no, like I said, I mean, you're telling me what peaceful is, and you're telling me how to fight a fight that impacts me and my people. We want your help. We want your amplification of our voices, but what we do not need is to be told what's peaceful and told what to do. So, I mean, hey, that is the most specific example I can think of, is that I can't even dress in a $20 mask without being told I'm not peaceful.
Yeah, I get it, because I've been a white man all my life. I am now an old white man. I have been afraid of black people for no good reason, just for what you look like. I will admit that. And I, once I know somebody, I'm not afraid of them anymore. But when I don't know them and it's a circumstance that I'm uncomfortable in, and you look different than me, I understand my privilege. People will look at me and not be afraid of me, and people will look at you and be afraid of you. And there's no reason for either one of those.
The white ego is fragile. When I say the white ego, I'm not including the egos necessarily of our allies and people that recognize their privilege. When I say the white ego, I mean what this country was built on. The white ego is very fragile, and when it feels threatened in any way, it wants to put negative terms. So everything with us is ghetto or unprofessional. You know what I mean? Or hood, or or aggressive, they want to put negative terms to things that they don't understand, and things that they have no desire to understand. So that is like, it's fragile. Anything that's different from what the white man deems as acceptable, anything that does not fall into assimilation of white forefathers' culture, is considered threatening or something negative.
How then would you address the real violence that we've seen? Usually the late at night, smashing windows, burning, setting fires. How do you address that?
Firstly, most of those reported cases were not incited by protesters. They were incited by infiltrators. And in a lot of cases, they were incited by the quote unquote law enforcement themselves. I've watched a video of a man being tear gassed in his face, like point blank. And the police officer or whoever he was, he pulled down his mask to spray him. So to make sure it got in his mouth. And I mean, I'm sorry, whatever ensued from that, because people were panicking, people were threatened. Like, I mean, you can look at that from one angle without seeing that and say there was a riot, or you can look at it from another angle and say, firstly, we're angry and we're justified in our anger. Secondly, we're scared. Thirdly, we need to protect ourselves. If this is what they're going to do to us, then we're going to go on the offensive. And I mean, and that is normal. That is a normal human reaction, no matter your color. But it's definitely one that is more vivid for us. And then you have, like, we were seeing buildings that had finished buildings, beautiful buildings, in protest areas that had piles of bricks just sitting beside them. What was that for? What are you building? It is a setup. And when
so they just gave you the ammunition.
Yeah. And then when you have people that come in and infiltrate and act as protesters and hold posters, and I've seen this happen. I've been on this protest scene for a while. I've seen people that did not have our best interests act like protesters and then start a ruckus. And next thing you know, there's pandemonium. I'm not saying that there are no incidents of Black people or protesters, being a catalyst for some negative press. However, in most cases, it was not started by the Black Lives Matter movement. It was not started by people in support of that. People just become scared afterward. So the real violence that we should be focusing on is the violence like what happened to us on Saturday. That is the real violence. Those are the real infiltrators. Like, and if you come in without knowing the story, and if we did not have the optics of a woman being sprayed in her face and having a violent seizure, and who was disabled and clearly in a wheelchair, if we did not have those optics, and you just saw a bunch of people getting sprayed and running around and looking like things were going crazy, you may believe that we were not peaceful. Like,
did the video that you've seen from there's getting nationwide coverage, New York
Yes.
Times, network news. Did that video adequately show what was going on from the perspective of someone who was actually there, or did you see something that was much bigger, much different than what actually made it on the news?
It depicted very accurately what was going on in those moments. Like, I mean, we were being attacked. You didn't see any of us attacking any law enforcement. I won't say that, but you didn't see any of us attacking any law enforcement. You didn't see any of us doing anything wrong. You saw us being attacked while we were simply standing there and exercising our constitutional right and within the bounds of our permit. But that takes me to the next point. That is what you don't see. And it's probably because, various sources need to gain confirmation of things and see evidence and all of that. But what you don't see is the fact that we were told that the streets were blocked off for us. And so it's not as simple as, well, why didn't they get out of the street? What you don't see is that they gave us 14 seconds to vacate the street and get into a gated area. So, I mean, this and what you don't see is the police chief, Christy Cole, having a talk with us, which I was a part of before any of this started, letting us know that we were protected in the streets and allowed to have the streets, and did not give us a time limit on it.
Yeah. You told us that on the show on Sunday, and I've never seen that description in any of the news that's gone on. That
No.
you got permission from the city police commissioner, police captain, and then the county sheriff ignored that permission. Mm-hmm. And the city police captain didn't back you up.
No, she disappeared. She was not even there, from my understanding.
Okay. And this,
I mean, I was sitting at home eating, chicken noodle soup and having, something for the soul. I don't know what she was doing, enjoying her children, kicking back. I don't know what she was doing, but she wasn't there. And I'm saying it in the way that I'm saying it, and that's professional. She wasn't there.
Yeah, she left you out to dry. This is one of the pieces of video that I've seen from Twitter. That's the woman on the well, it wasn't a wheelchair. It was transportation device. But this really makes it hard to get a good feel for everything that's going on. This one little snippet. So
I will say this: you don't have to know much more of what's going on to know that was gross.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that looked terrible.
Right. Whether it was technically a wheelchair or not, I mean, it was a transportation device for someone who was clearly disabled.
Yeah, disabled person.
Right at close range and have such a violent reaction to it. I mean, even more so, you don't need, nobody needs to see anything else. And I'm glad they're saying everything else, but you don't have to see anything but that. No matter what, she was not a threat, and she was not to be sprayed in the face. And it doesn't matter. Even if you think that we were wrong for being out there, if your moral fiber is not intact, if you look at that and you do not have a reaction that says this is not okay, that's all you need to see.
What I see there is basically police rioting.
Yes.
1968 Chicago. I just watched the Chicago 7 movie. 1968 Chicago. I have one suggestion for people out there who are using their phones to record things. Don't hold them like this. Hold them like this. You get all that stuff to the left and right that doesn't show up in this. That doesn't show up in this shot. All that context that doesn't show up. Please turn your phone like that and shoot your video. You'll get a whole lot more of what's going on. Sean, I appreciate your coming by. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. What's the location again?
Wayman's Chapel AME in Graham, North Carolina.
Okay, 9 a.m. And it's going to be another march. Don't know exactly. It's going to go to the polls. There may be a stop. We don't know exactly yet. You get some more details on the Reverend Gregory Drumwright's Facebook page is probably the best place to go look right now. And I'm sure we will. If you had some news coverage out there on Saturday, I got a feeling you're going to have a lot of news coverage out there tomorrow. So
yes, and we want them to be safe as well. And this is the threat to not only protesters and allies, but this is a threat to all of the people that are a part of media outlets and want to capture what's going on. So we're just hoping we don't have any more incidents and everyone is safe tomorrow.
So it's like they said back in Chicago, the whole world is watching. And we will be watching. So Sean Green, Alamance County activist, thank you very much for coming back on very short notice. I think I texted you about a half hour ago. And we'll call this episode 121 a protest episode on the Triangle Talk Show. It is November 2nd. Alamance update, the march. In showbiz terms, we'll call it Take Two. And that is it for this. I'll get my little triangle down here so I can bop it. That is it for this episode of the Triangle Talk Show. Thank you, Sean.
Pleasure to speak with you.
Over and out.